He died with honor.
No, Will. He just died. I'm tired of it.
You, me, all of us. We're all out there dying so they can stay rich.
Tax collectors coming around here, taking everything. With nothing for the women.
Girls, you know how to shoot one of these.
It's quite normal you got there.
Last time I checked, the gun don't care who's pulling the trigger.
You know they shoot deserters, don't you?
They runaways.
They shoot?
And gonna die so they can get rich selling their cotton.
That's where we live, too.
No man ought to tell another man what he's got to live for or what he's got to die for.
I don't have the patience with 5 or 6 deserters hiding out in the swamp.
You ready?
We good?
No,
I
you
can
don't
check.
care. I don't care.
No.
All right, I think our audio is back.
Audio back?
Perfect. Is the audio back? Great.
We need to double check from somebody.
Okay.
Yeah. We back.
Okay, perfect. Okay, great. Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for helping us. This is the test run. It's our the first VitaminQ with friends of many, hopefully. But so we just kind of working everything out, getting to know each other, and we've found out a lot of things. Quickly. In the break. So, but that's good. We're gonna get a lot of perspectives on some things that we want to talk about tonight. And like I said, the main thing, if you're in New Orleans and people are like, oh, there's more in New Orleans but the crime. I'm like, well, you can talk about crime or festivals, and you get tired of festivals. So the crime is a big issue for me only because they're going to use crime to push out the rest of the black community out of New Orleans. They're going to use, they just gave Sidney Torres his own show about the crime task force, and they just beefed up. They gave the French Quarter police little mini electric cars to patrol and stuff like that. So there's going to be an initiative about crime, and when that's very coded for black. Because when they think of who's doing the crime, they're just like, oh, the blacks, they're not raising their kids and stuff like that. And definitely they'll ignore the fact that they swindled a lot of people out of their property and didn't make it too comfortable for the blacks to return after Katrina. But it is what it is now. So when we talk about how do we attack the crime, there's always this, oh, well, we need better things for the children and the programs. And there's always these deflection solutions that take the power away from us and give it to other people. And I'm always saying, if you're waiting for them to give us better conditions to make ourselves better, then we're just never going to be better. They created these conditions and they're working the way that people want them to work. So little things like this, I hope, will drive people to promote a better culture, one that's friendlier among blacks, one that's less violent. And I'm not even judgmental. If you got to sell drugs, why can't you sell drugs non-violently and make a lot of money?
Everybody wants to be on top. Everybody wants that. If you showing that, okay, I got it or whatever, you always got that one. I'm going to take what he got.
Exactly.
I don't want to work for it. I'm gonna take it.
I'll wait for somebody else.
Exactly.
It's like when you go to the algae eaters in the aquariums.
Right.
It's opportunistic. And it's not going to promote us being, when you're out there talking about we gods, we kings, we this and we that. How can we say that if we're just waiting for whatever comes our way? And we're not proactively doing things that promote a better culture. So I hope that this is the start of that. And I want people to, feel like that they can be a part of it and see where it goes from there. But I think Stacy had a great issue that she wanted to bring up, since we're going to go around the table just once.
I'm going to go around the table. So
but I like the one that she had.
One of the things that I wanted to reference was the commencement speech that Michelle Obama did, where she did reference that they lived in a house that was built by slaves. Mm-hmm. And I thought, it was very classy of her to make mention of it, especially this is her last speech going out, as First Lady. So the fact that she did make that reference, and she also did mention about Donald Trump wanting to build walls, and it was mainly done out of fear because this country wasn't built strictly on what they consider themselves to be natives here.
Yes.
It was definitely built on, people from other countries and different ethnic backgrounds. So that was a pretty big deal for me today to hear her mention that and acknowledge it. And the fact that she did reference that, her husband, father is from Kenya, and he came here like everyone else, looking for an opportunity for education and for a better life. And, here they are.
As far as the election goes, it's very dangerous where we're headed next. Because there's just no good way to go. A lot of people want us to accept Hillary as, the consolation prize because all we have, Donald Trump is there, but that's not going to be good either way for us because of the direction that the country is headed in. If Hillary wins, you're going to have, where is this base that Trump has galvanized going to put all of that energy that he's worked up? Right. That's just not going to be quelled after an election. It ain't going to go nowhere. Yeah. Right. They're going to feel played if he loses. and if he wins, they're gonna feel empowered. So, you know, like we're just in this real dangerous place that we can't really go back from. So when you say, when we watch Roots and say, oh, I don't want to see any more slave movies, or, you know, when Michelle says, oh, well, the house was built by slaves. Yeah, that's true. But we're getting away from American values and if there ever was American inclusion. But this idea of America being open is just, it's never really been true, but now it's about to be blatantly contradicted.
Right.
Openly. So.
One thing about Trump, I think we were talking about this the other day, the fact that the Fox people, Sean Hannity, Rush Limbaugh, they hate Trump. So that kind of makes me think, okay, they really hate him. They can't stand him. So I know it's because he's got a lot of money and he can control them. But should we maybe be taking a look at if our enemies hate him? Maybe this is something we might need to take a little look at. Because I'm not voting for Hillary, so I can stand her. I just can't do it. No,
this probably
like Bernie, but he probably is not going to be the nominee. So I just think it's interesting that the Republican Party hates Trump.
They do, but he's still winning.
Yeah, it's sad to say that. Maybe our next president.
Yeah.
I mean, that's scary.
I was looking today. I've never seen the violence.
Yeah.
In any of the races, I've never seen as much violence behind this guy.
Yeah.
Like
that is not a good. That's not a good. It's nothing's good about it.
And that's what I'm saying. It's like going to a club where everybody just starts fighting. You can't stop that. Like there's momentum behind that. It's very violent.
Right.
Well, I think when I think about this issue, I think about the question of who is the candidate most likely to be in the position to govern what I call white affairs, and being able to be in a position to understand globalization and its influence in the world. See, it's not just about America or the United States of America, if you will. It's more about how do we position ourselves in the grand scheme of economics and money. Like I always tell people that I talk to, it's not always about racism. It really is not. It's also about greed and about who has the power of money and the influence of money. And we're more dealing in a class issue, if anything. And so, like she stated earlier, I am not voting for Hillary Clinton, and I have my reasons why. She's very rogue, and she's just not a good, viable candidate as far as the African American community, in my opinion, because of her history. And history will tell you a lot about any person, just like when you go on a job and you fill out an application, they want to know your history. Then they want to do a reference check. Well, if you just do a reference check on Hillary, and now they have taken down a lot of YouTube clips as it relates to her being affiliated with drug cartels. I mean, her and her husband, and it's serious, but they've taken that down, so you won't know that because they have that political connection, which is going to be important. And so, I totally agree with you. I would not endorse her. I understand people have a right to vote for who they may want to see as a candidate. As far as Donald Trump, I think he is being used as a puppet to cause what I like to say propaganda, maybe. Yes, definitely. And I think propaganda plays a major role in what we're seeing in the media and the narrative that they're trying to sway us with. And so that's why these types of forums is going to be important, because as we sit here today, we're going to discuss those issues that's not being raised. And hopefully the community that's watching us, or the friends that's watching us, will inspire us and ignite us, to kind of share that information so it can be heard. So that's
No, definitely. I will say this, and I've said it on my page before. Trump is rogue, and I will look at him as like he literally went in there and he dismantled the Republican Party. They don't know what to do, what to say, so they're just gonna, So there is that appeal to him, like, hey, he's fucking that shit up over there. But you also have to look, well, what is he gonna do after he's destroyed it? You know, like, sometimes people aren't fighting your enemies because, you know, like, their enemies was just first on the list, and then it's you.
Right.
You know, and it's just such a dangerous road we're traveling because anytime, I don't feel, I mean, it's like Hillary and Trump are the same in a lot of ways.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
You know,
I agree.
As far as their danger, you know, like, you can't really predict what they're going to do or what their agenda is, because if you look at it, the entire election's been all propaganda and no real issues,
No
facts,
platforms.
no platforms. They don't even have statements. They don't just say, hey, I'm running on this because I want to do this. And to be perfectly honest with you, you know, I'm a conspiracist. If you read my page, you'll see that, and I get kind of out there. But everybody's acting as if there's not going to be another president.
Right.
But it won't be the first time that a president would have be the third term, because Franklin D. Roosevelt, was it?
Yeah.
He did 4 terms, if I'm not mistaken, or 3 if I'm not mistaken.
That's not gonna happen.
And so, well, you never know. You just never know how things may go. I mean, I'm a conspiracy theorist as well. Also, I look at, like I say, history, and it kind of tells you what is going to transpire, because if you look at what's going on in the GOP, is that what is his name? Paul Ryan? No, not Paul. Was it him who endorsed Trump today?
Right.
And that caused a ruckus in the GOP.
Oh, it was.
They are upset.
They're,
It's going crazy, and so, you know, maybe it might be just time for the GOP and the Democratic Party to be annihilated, and we start fresh with the Tea Party.
And get rid of the delegates.
You know,
if we could take it all down, that's great.
If we can have presidents run like they run in other countries where you run in a ranking system, so if it's 5 people running, which one you like first? Pick 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That way, the right person generally gets elected on who is liked the most. Because the person with maybe, let's just theoretically say, 200 first place votes, but the other cat got 3,000 second place votes. Well, most likely the general public likes him.
Right.
You know, however it goes, I'll just tie it back into this. I've strayed away from the political talk completely because we don't have a dog in this. And the only reason I will talk about this is because I say we've done a lot of things political over the last 5-6 years, and now we're not even being discussed in the election. And that's the biggest tragedy of this election, is that blacks issues for middle class people, issues that won't affect us. None of them are being talked about. Trump is talking about building walls. How can that affect Americans?
Right.
Who needs a wall? Hillary's just talking. She's not even really saying. All she's saying is vote for me over Bernie and Trump.
Right.
So we're kind of left at a stalemate. And
well, Bernie is a hope only on the strength of he is causing the Democratic Party to face different issues.
Right.
That's what he is doing.
yeah,
Now, will he be a viable candidate to be placed in a position of what I said earlier as far as governing white affairs or globalization? I don't think that they're going to allow that to happen.
exactly.
I just don't think.
It's just not going to happen.
Because if you want to know what's going on, like the older days say, follow the money. Look at Hillary Clinton. Look at who's backing these people and what their money is going through when they have lobbyists that are trying to, persuade them to follow the direction of whatever the money is going into. It'll give you, again, the history.
We see it there, and that's another roadblock. So I just be like, okay, we'll see what happens when the primaries are done. Then I'll start to see, well, what's our next move going to be? But for now, like y'all over here giggling. So do we want to move on to something lighter?
No, I'm actually. They laughing at me. I was doing the viewer thing, and it started working, and it kind of blew my mind.
Okay, good. No problem. No problem.
Yeah, I don't get to do stuff like this often. So.
speaking of entertainment, you know, I did want to introduce my boy Chuck over here because he did just drop a video today, and you know he's got some major things coming up. So I'm Oprah, can you put the link to the video onto this thread on my main page?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Check out the video, y'all. Chuck is uber talented, and I'm very particular. Like a lot of people send me music and stuff like that. I really can't listen to it all because I just can't hear certain things. But you know, when I do finally take the chance and I hear somebody good, and Chuck's like, I mean, and then when they're really good, and I've had the chance to listen to some really good artists over the last couple of months, last couple of years, and you know, Chuck just really stands out. And it's obvious that he stands out because he's got so many other side projects going on. So he's like really at that kind of period where, you know, you're bringing back the slingshot. Yeah. And, you know, we kind of appreciate that. I don't think that we can play it on here because of the sound tonight. Right. But I'm putting the link. Just put the link up. I'm putting the link up, and I think that we can maybe even maybe Bluetooth it to the TV or something like that so that we can have it in the background on side. Maybe we could do that. You know, something like that. But tell us more about what's going on with that.
Well, I just dropped a single. Mm-hmm. Shots. It's on fire. I'm looking. We're looking to drop the album in July. Okay. So we just working on this and busy promoting. Watch this video. Then we're gonna drop the second single when the movie comes out. Okay. You know, so is the single on the movie soundtrack? No. Okay. The single on the movie soundtrack. But you're gonna capitalize off of that shit.
Yo, people.
Of course. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Okay.
If people turn and look at the TV, they can see the video.
So is the single on the movie?
No, I mean not here in VR.
Oh, okay.
They can hear it now?
Yeah.
So we're kind of on break right now?
No, you're still up.
Oh, they can see both of it?
Yeah.
Okay. You know, okay, this is silent. Yeah, this is silent. Bobby digital type shit right here now. You know, and we're gonna try to take it a little further for Chris. But
no, you're still up.
I mean, the reason why you don't have to get this song out because you're working on a movie. It's just, I mean, you're trying to get like a little. But you can't really talk about the movie yet.
I can't say
exactly.
But I can tell you a little something.
Tell me a little something.
Okay. The movie is The Free State of Jungle. Okay. But I do not play a house name. I can tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's all you need to know. I'm not the one. Yes. Okay. So, but it's one of those period pieces. Okay. 1800.
I do the period pieces.
You like that?
I mean, I get the money.
Yeah.
I remember I think they were shooting 12 Years a Slave down here, and it was like you really had to just, you know, not cut your hair and, you know, not do anything like that. Yeah.
Cute. You know, looking. I had a beard and I had the hair. You know, normally I'm bald. Yeah. Yeah. I had to let all.
Oh, you had all that out?
Yeah. In the movie, I could have all that.
Okay.
Yeah, I look real.
But did you get whooped or anything?
No, see, I'm telling you, I was free. Picture this.
I just don't want to.
I had guns. So
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not getting looked at all in the movie. Not tomorrow. No. No.
As Chuck can tell us more about the movie, we'll be looking for more about the movie. But you know what? Did you have your? What was your?
And the still is up on the TV if anybody want to look at it.
What TV?
In VR, if people turn and look at the television screen, there's a still from the movie.
Yeah, I can see the video.
Look, we got our virtual reality.
Yes, and they're amazing.
Exactly.
They're like the best.
Exactly.
Yes.
This is how we're doing.
More for making it happen.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so let me know when the video is like kind of done.
We're good. Go ahead.
Okay, perfect. Good. And you know what, y'all? Everybody buzz when you think about your topic that you want to. Y'all in your phones. I want you to, you know, go with what's trending. Try to go into that page, join the conversation. You know, so like we want it to be hyper reactive, hyper overreactive, and interactive. I can't really check too much of that, so that's why I need y'all on it. You know, like contribute something. That's all I'm saying. Contribute.
Right.
You know what I want to talk about?
What?
I actually just want to bring light to it.
Mm-hmm.
I seen this video of car graduation.
Yeah.
I have never seen since. I think it was like McMahon's class of '96.
Mm-hmm.
I remember going. My little brother, he graduated, and I remember going. graduation, and they had a similar enthusiasm. Like that is what kids supposed to do.
Well,
at that moment, because you know that they understand that there is still a road ahead.
Yeah.
Like that enthusiasm from like that whole the throwing up of the hat. Like I totally believe that we got away from that because we didn't glorify, we didn't glorify proms and just all type of other stuff.
And I'm gonna jump all over that right there because I graduated from CAR.
Right.
And the values that they promoted at CAR are some of the values that I try to instill into the VitaminQ. As a matter of fact, we just had our reunion, like 5-year, and it was good to see everybody. But it was also good to reconnect to those values because when you're in it, you don't really realize it. But CAR promotes Black normalcy and Black excellence. It makes Black excellence Black normalcy. When you go there, everybody's involved in something. You're either sports or you're one of the auxiliaries. There's a lot of opportunities to grow, and everything's top notch. So those kids, that excitement, it's because the reason that they came to CAR, they succeeded in. I think that they got over $5 million in scholarships.
Yeah.
So those kids, they were working hard and they succeeded, and it's just good to see that. And you're right, we don't see enough of that, especially when it's like majority Black students and stuff like that. So, especially here in this area where they're kind of attacking all of the old schools. CAR is one of the CARs has been around for long, but you don't have a lot of the old names anymore.
You don't.
Right. Well, when I looked at the video, I actually looked at it several times, and I think I shared it in my clip as well. And I saw pride. That is what I immediately thought about. And if you really look at some of the clips that's out there, one has Harold Clay on it, which is I think the principal.
Yes.
And I've actually had an opportunity to be a student of his in college, and so I know what it's like being under his leadership. And that is the type of men and type of people we need in the kids' lives today. Somebody who's very raw, very authentic, because the kids that we deal with today want nothing less than authenticity.
And I don't even know that man, but here's what I bet he don't worry about. He don't give himself an excuse of, well, what happened at home? Well, what's going on at home? He puts all his love and effort and might into that kid because he know that I gotta, sometimes these kids gotta come here and we gotta love them. It might be the only love they get. We get so caught up into, well, it starts at home. Well, what if fucking home is not there? Like, what if they ain't got no home? I went to Cohen, when I was at Cohen, I clearly had at least a handful of friends that had no parents. They was literally raising their brothers and sisters. Their parents was dead walking. They was there, but they were dead. So, that, for me, when I hear educators or people, when I hear even educators or people making excuses, well, it starts at home. When is people as educators are going to go to the job and say, you know what? Sometimes it can't start. It's got to start right here. It's the only chance it has to start.
Yeah.
And
that's the type of person he's.
Now, he worked in the criminal justice system for a long time, and he was actually on the staff of the district attorney.
Okay.
And I was very surprised to learn that he eventually came over to, the education field, which is what I think we needed in the community. So I would kind of say, probably.
I bet.
Yeah, got to.
And CAR at the same time doesn't have too many of those. Yeah, those kids, they have a lot, but anywhere in New Orleans is going to have a lot. But, to a certain degree, you also need to catch the kids that might not be so bad, but might be at that middle level. They get forgotten a lot.
Yeah.
The kids in the middle get forgotten a lot because you have the excellers, up here, like the athletes and the people who are just getting straight A's. And then under here, you got the people that are just you can tell that they need some help.
Mm-hmm.
But those kids in the middle, you just feel like, okay, they got it, they're okay, and they'll kind of coast through. But they could be the ones you take and bring into excellence as well. So we have a lot to do, And that's why I get so angry that we concentrate so much on what we already know are the problems. Like, we already know systematic racism exists. We already, I mean, you in your field, you see it, we all see it. But when are we going to take it on that personal level and be like, you know what, I can't help this whole block, but this one kid, I can be responsible for him just because I see him every day.
Right.
And you'd be surprised at the effect that has on people. And I don't think that we're passing it along enough, and I don't think that we're applying the butterfly effect of, just, kind of spreading something sincere. Speaking of insincere, Stacy was telling me about something else before the forum. And it goes into this, because this is where we are now. And this, I'm really disappointed. Alicia Keys' no makeup campaign. When you have black women sitting around talking about my struggle is they made me wear makeup, I sang for a bunch of people, and now I'm a multi-millionaire, and I was wearing makeup when I took somebody's husband and...
Reserve that shit. Reserve that shit. That's all I'm saying.
Let me have I can't sell any more albums with all, dressed up because I can't compete with Beyonce, so I'm gonna wipe my makeup off and be a new bitch. And and now she's got her hair wrapped and kente cloth and everything like that. And it goes back to what I was saying about the newly woke. It's kind of like the newly saved back in the 90s. Yeah. People would gang bang and be a hoe and a crackhead and everything else and go to church once and they be like, you know what, I'm saved, I got baptized. Right. Yeah. And it doesn't quite work like that. No, it don't work like that. Doesn't work like that. And then they're like, oh, you can't judge people by their past. Yeah, and the past was yesterday.
Let me tell you, I'm sorry. Well, a part of my issue with that was, like you said, you can't judge by their past, and you want to watch that stay clean. One of the issues that I had with that was in 2001, both, and I am personally an NDRE fan, but NDRE dropped Acoustic Soul the same year that she dropped Songs in a Minor or whatever. And what happened in that situation was,
Chris, they said the sound's really low.
Alicia's song that made it big was Falling. And at the time, India released video. But she's like, I'm not the average girl from the video. My work is not determined by the price of my clothes. Right. And in one of the lines, she said, when I look in the mirror, the only one there is me, and every freckle on my face is where it's supposed to be. Apparently, Alicia Keys just fucking discovered her fucking freckles. Wow. Recently. And it's amazing to me because she won like so many Grammys, so many different awards off of that makeup. And being endorsed by Prince, and it was like, oh, she's on keys, and she's beautiful, and she's this and that. And they shitting on my girl India. When she's been saying the same shit that now Alicia Keys apparently has discovered in 2016. They shitting on India. And India, she was there already. She apparently before her time, and now that everybody wants to get on this bandwagon, it's like, fuck y'all. Like, straight up, like, I have an issue with that because India been saying this. And they overlooked her because of her dark skin and her kinky hair and
segue.
Whoa! So I'm just saying they bypassed her, and then it's like now Alicia Keys is talking about it. Now it's trending.
Wow! But you know what? There's a lot of people like that. I'll say personally, in the New Orleans area, a lot of the kids imitate.
Don't talk about that.
A lot of the kids imitate me in my blog and stuff like that. And even, a lot of the kids who, try to be like, who attack the hardest used to be in my inbox the hardest. Right. So, it goes from like that whole, oh, Quincy, I want to, teach me this. And I'm like, I'll give away, anybody knows that comes in my inbox knows I'll give away a trick. Because I'm always learning new stuff. And so I'll give you yesterday's tricks, but it's just kind of funny to see how people will, even within our community, will be quick to call some white girl a culture vulture. We'll be quick to call these, say that these big blogs, appropriate our culture. And I'm sorry that y'all came here. I really
It's so nice. I didn't know we had a community.
Exactly. But we'll be quick to judge people like if they, like the free thinkers and the radical thinkers, they come with these thoughts first. and we'll be quick to dismiss them until somebody comes along in a better package that we can accept.
Is there a such thing as an original thought?
No.
I don't think so either.
There's definitely
Because somebody has already tried everything. It's just a matter, like you said, how do you package it and how do you present it?
But I do believe this. There's not a such thing as an original thought, but I do believe that there are people who steer culture.
Okay.
You know, and meaning like if we're headed on this thought, we probably was already here 300 years ago. But then that person is inspired to be like, you know what, it's time to switch this back to this other. You know, I think that there are triggers and that a lot of people are inspired to inspire the rest of society to move, you know, into the next trigger.
Yeah, kind of like the awards that we just saw recently. iHeart Awards was horrible,
it was
and what was it was a Billboard Award that just recently. That was
right.
horrible. And then if you look at how they have stolen our culture and using our music, and I really wonder if they are writing this music because they don't think how we think. Their mind frame is not the same to sing and express certain words and feelings.
And infections.
Exactly.
Well, it's like Justin Bieber has a swag coach. They all have swag coaches.
Really?
Yeah. Stylists and
they all have that. It's all because they want it to look a certain way, but they know that the people who can represent that don't have the talent or don't have that. So they
You can tell from when Justin first came out to now. You see
the difference. And me and this guy talked about it last week, and he tried to come for me.
Couple with pour some barley on this cake too.
Exactly, but he was just like, we give it away on social media, and we do. And he was like, "Do you ever feel like you give it away?" I was like, "No, not really. I don't feel like I give it away, but I do see how a lot of other people give it away because I do see where a lot of us create things just to go and throw it in white people's faces and be like, hey, this is what we're doing." Wow. And there's other people who kind of do it and just want to celebrate it within our community. And then if it can transcend, that's another thing. But some people use it as they come and collect all this culture because they know that white people want it. So they go and they want to be an agent for that.
Right. I don't think you can steal an idea because the blueprint is within your mind, your infinite wisdom. And so although you may share certain things with any of us, it's not going to be as effective because it's not you being a piece of the puzzle that needs to be in.
I understand, but they don't understand.
Yeah, they don't.
It's like somebody.
Here. Okay. What about the Kardashians? They're making millions and millions and millions of dollars off of trying to be black women. Just simply changing their body shape and their lips and tanning their skin.
We don't know standards.
We don't.
Well, we don't. But I would be so happy when we stop caring about what white people think. But it does anger me.
That's because exactly
when they come and steal the same things that we used to get teeth for.
We're like the girl that didn't know her father. Anybody that gives us a compliment can get anything that they want.
Thank you.
And that's what I mean about when I say that they're always on social media giving our oppression away. I'm like, stop speaking. I don't feel as sad as you feel. I don't feel as beat down as you feel.
Right.
And the reasons why you feel that way are probably not to do with the things that you're saying. There's no personal accountability. Even though there is a racist system in place, people are still going to make their own choices in life. You could very well move out to the Ozarks. You know what I'm saying? But our problem is we're dependent on these big plantation cities, and we don't want to leave. So we're that abused wife where we want the abuser to treat us better, and that's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. Sure.
But it's still like us. We let them in. I'm gonna use Luke for example.
Right.
Yeah. I'm gonna use that for example. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Don't get it started.
We allow that. We let them in. Look at second line. That's our shit. I'm like, they think we can't have nothing. We let them in. I've never. Longest I've been doing this, I'm second line Sunday all day long. Like probably like a few weeks ago, I saw a new group, and it was like a bunch of white people. I'm like, what's up? Like we let them.
Black people get into Rex.
Here it is.
Have they allowed us
Yes.
to stay in?
They
I was gonna say it, but go ahead,
You
brother.
can, but it's difficult.
I bet it's
You know what I'm saying? Like it's like
gotta be this token.
it's difficult. It's real difficult. Like Rex and Demi and like you don't see that.
Blackface
That's the bottom line.
I'm not just telling you something. The one
We
year
love
that I
everybody but ourselves.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
We're looking for love
We
everywhere.
love everybody but us.
I'm about to tell you, the one year that I wrote in Zulu, I actually like looked up the Zulu tribe, like in Africa, and they act, well, it's no brainer, but they don't wear their makeup the way that Zulu here does. And so like I did my makeup accordingly to what the original tribe was. And I got a lot of backlash because I wouldn't get in blackface, and I actually put the dots, and I actually try to honor, pay homage to the tribe itself.
Right.
And they were like, no, you can't do that. And I'm like, I have pictures, I have proof, I have fucking receipts. But I did rock it because it's like, I'm not about to be in blackface on it. And that was my first time last year. I'm not interested anymore, but it's like, if you want to do it,
right.
Be respectful.
But the blackface comes from them mocking us.
Right. So here's the thing. So Zulu, no, well, actually, to the credit, don't get me wrong. I don't Rex is a mockery of us. Zulu is a mockery of them making a mockery of us.
Isn't that
right? Can we still shit on ourselves?
Well, I will say that I will be riding again.
That's the problem. That's the
You
problem.
feel any kind of way when you put the makeup on, you put the wig on, the big lip stuff?
Honestly, no, I don't. I don't feel any type of way, but it's because of my personal pleasure and why I enjoy the experience of writing. And so, it's kind of like, the older days, don't do as I say, or do or whatever, do as I say, or what have you. But I enjoy it, y'all. I get it, but I love it.
For me, it's just like Thanksgiving. Okay, I understand what Thanksgiving is.
Right.
I just want to go to eat by my family.
Exactly.
Kind of like, I want to get up at 8 in the morning, go on Jackson, have breakfast by one of my cousins.
Right.
Stand there for a little while.
I don't participate in holidays, so I'm real I'm either in or out.
Right.
I don't believe in none of it. It's all the big.
But see, like to me, and your position on it, because I'm the same way. The position on it is that while you enjoy it, it's like you still acknowledge. You
acknowledge it.
You know it's not right. It's a family interaction.
I don't
get
believe
that.
in all of this shit is makeup.
Thank you.
I don't believe in work. But
work is a punishment.
What is work?
Work is a punishment.
I don't even work. I'm with you on that.
So that we set up these things, like whoever is governing the planet, they set up these things so that there can be order. Because I do understand that there needs to be order. Free thinkers, they don't subscribe to that, but the sheep need that shit.
Right.
Yeah.
I know so. There needs to be an order to it. So I definitely appreciate that, and if it calms them down, but we're not progressing. We have to, now we've just been kind of trotting on the wine press and going in circles, and we need to go forward. And I'll always bring it back. That's why I'm trying to do this, because I want to take it forward. The virtual reality thing is going to make it great, make it very interactive, especially when we can kind of get the kinks worked out. But we need to be setting things in place on where we want to be in a year from now as a community, in another year, because they have already planned it out as well.
Right.
Yeah. We have the
yeah.
Yeah.
So you're saying replace it needs to be replaced with something else. Just
Exactly.
don't take it away.
It needs to be added up, because right now it's so over encumbering that it takes all their money and all their time.
Well, there's a national day for every goddamn thing now.
Right.
So we might as well get on it popping.
I mean, is there any more culture for us to create?
Exactly.
Is there?
But
I thought about that the other day.
like, is there anything for us
and
to
that's what
still?
makes me think about, when they do a reset on Earth. Culture builds to a point to where it can't build up anymore without people leaving the planet. Because people start to, as everybody starts to wake up and want more and more and more and more information, they're like, well, now that I know everything about Earth, I want to go discover things outside of Earth.
Right.
And that's when shit gets.
But we only know 5%.
Exactly.
So it's so much more that we don't know, and so
we feel like we know it though.
Yeah,
we're
know.
told that we know it. We're told in these schools that, hey, we're going to teach you all about anthropology and archaeology and American history, and then that's all there is to it. And then when we get older, we're like, oh, all of that shit was lies, so what is real?
Right.
You know, and then after that, you're like, well, I'm kind of detached from it altogether. You know, and that's, I think, a natural progression, but we're at it a lot earlier because of technology.
Right.
Yeah, which can be helpful and harmful. You know, by me working in the justice system before, I'm not in the justice system right now, I'm freelancing, if you will. But I realized about 7 years ago when I had access to certain information and to learn certain things, and it came to a point where I hated two things. The first is a cell phone, and the second is the internet. Because I've watched it ruin so many people's lives, and I've watched and read what they call pre-sentence reports. And it's a report that talks about what the lifestyle of that person or the offender or what have you. And when you read it, it becomes redundant. I'm like, okay, so everybody's living the same typical life.
Right.
Are you serious? And you see that it's BS. And you see that they're lying on people. And you see that it's fabrication. And so you start to wonder who the criminals. And I'll say this because I've said this before. I had more difficulties with people who had a badge next to me than the people who we were supposed to, you know, enforce the laws or the rules on. And so, you know, you just have to be careful because we live in a society that's built on repression, not oppression. Yes, oppression goes on,
Repression.
but we're forced into accepting what they call norms.
Yes.
Or what's the norm? You know, what was the normal life 20 years ago is not the same today.
Exactly.
And so you just...
And they recreate those norms, and that's kind of what I'm saying is like...
Can I know that, and see, that, and that's kind of where I go berserk, because why is it a norm now if it wasn't a norm then? A norm has to be a norm always, right?
But yeah, when you ask that, then you start asking who is driving and dictating.
Who's driving it?
Legislation.
Yeah.
Laws help shape and mold what? Laws shape and mold who we are as a society, and it's just messed up. I think we are messed up, not just in New Orleans and Louisiana. I think
that's because, honestly, brother, we really don't know who the hell we are.
That's right.
We do not
That's right.
know
That's right.
who the, because it's like this, man. If you knew who you really were, like, how can you go outside of that? Like, if you really was you were a constant in who you say you are, every part of you see the benefits of that. How and why? I mean, it seemed like if I wanted to go outside of that, it would be a leisure to the point to where I know how to reel myself back in.
Bring it back in. That's right.
Yeah,
but when you
that's what it's
don't,
supposed to be.
right? But when you don't understand,
You go back to no
out there.
right? So in my world, in my world, we call that's fake. That's fake shit. You know what I mean? You're trying to be something, and once you step out into that, now you're subject to all of the bullshit that comes along with it. But when you stick to the script and stay authentic and real within yourself, and knowing who you are, I mean,
You like to call that foundation.
yeah.
But that's what I've always been saying. Like, you know, who's supposed to build that foundation? Your family, like wherever you come from, is supposed to give you some foundation for dealing with this world.
Right.
Who, if not them, who?
Right.
You know, like
That goes back to the guy's card, where it gets important on the people. Like there needs to be something to turn to, somebody to turn to, something to look
your
at.
parents.
Your parents.
They should be there.
They should be there, but if not them, the village. I mean, some sort of a village, like the village. Good God,
I'm not sure that that's true in the grand scheme of things.
All right.
Like, I think that we have a lot of comfort in society, but if you really think about what nature and science is, you know, the universe doesn't owe you anything but life.
You're right. Well, yeah, you're right about that. And I understand. So being uncomfortable.
I know
gets you
that's it's,
ahead.
No, I agree with that. No, and I agree with that 100%. But I feel like with that, life does become like there comes responsibility. So it's like, yeah, the universe doesn't owe you anything but life, but at the same time, like, and this is my sensitive shit, guys. But like, where does love, where does compassion come in? You can't see other people hurting and just be like, I'm good because I'm breathing like that.
Right.
You can, but that's fucked up.
it is.
And that's not the way that it should be. That's not the way that it should be.
That's the way it
not.
is.
That's how we get down, bro.
That. And that's where we come in. Because we're civilized here. We all are
Yeah.
great individuals. That's what we kick in at. I understand where the universe, it gives us what it owes us, but then we take on a personal responsibility.
Exactly.
Because I'm going to be old one day. One day, not soon.
Hurting how though?
One day.
Hurting how? Because you could be hurting, like you could say I was a Iraq veteran, and you can have one arm, but blah blah blah. I might give you $1.
I'm going to give you my other own.
Oh, I'm gonna give you $1. Actually, I ain't gonna even lie. I'm gonna give you $1. But if I drive up to the stoplight, if I drive up to the light and you have one arm, and you got on some dirty clothes, but your tennis shoes is not necessarily dirty, and your beard is fresh, but you got marks on your arm.
Yeah, right.
If you hurting that way, I don't care how much you hurt. I'm not gonna give you no $1 at that point. Right. So it's hurting how?
But it's all the same. I mean,
is it the same?
It is. It definitely is. They can't. I mean, once that you get that shit in your system, it takes control of you. So it definitely so there could be some type of help. But then when you start talking about helping anybody, you have to help everybody. And I only try to say that what if you don't get that help? What if nobody helps you? Right. And I try to snap us out of it because they're not trying to give us that help. And that's all I try to say. Yeah. Like, we need to start expecting not to get that help. And we would probably think a lot of ways. If we expected not to get assistance, would we have the same type of birth rate that we have? And I'm gonna keep it under an hour, so we kind of, we're gonna go with our closing thoughts. And I know that the sound was bad because they was because Satan was all on my news he's so present on the spread, telling me how bad the sound was. Bitch, get in virtual reality. And you tell me about some sound. But I do appreciate everybody for coming. And we're just gonna do some closing thoughts because I wanted to leave it on a positive note. Like, I want to do more of these VitaminQ with friends because I do feel among friends, and we need to start sharing ideas. And I want to promote other people to do this within themselves. I'm sure it won't be as hot because you're not me, but but we have a lot of things going on. Me and Chuck are going to do a personal one because I did listen to a lot of the stuff he sent me, and I had some stuff that I wanted to talk to him about. But me and him are going to have to do that personally because I don't want any other camera hogs around. It's focused on me. I'm not sure how I'm feeling. This is a lot of people to share the attention with. I'm not too used to that.
We get used to it.
Some of the guys are a little bit better than me in some ways. And I don't really allow that into my personal life.
Straight up.
But I'm glad that everybody came out, and I'm really glad that anybody that tuned in. We're just going to be doing a lot of big things over the entire summer, and I want you to meet more of the people, more of the creatives, the new urbanists in New Orleans, and everybody just go around and say goodbye, just give a wave because I think that they can see everybody.
Oh yeah, peace.
Yeah.
Bye, community. Love y'all.
Bye, everybody. I would just tell everybody to make sure they go on VitaminQ and check out the Princess Shaw.
Exactly.
And the Jay Lyric interview.
Yes, we.
And hi, Arlene, if y'all there, hi, Arlene, the best publicist in the world.
And my new guests, my new friends over here, thank you so much for coming out. I really do appreciate that. And Chuck, always a pleasure having you. But I do want y'all, if y'all haven't read the Princess Shaw interview, please go read that.
Oh, yeah.
It's an amazing story of somebody who, is just a regular person here in New Orleans, and now they're just setting all around the world, making music and being creative and producing something. And I just want more people to kind of be in that same vein. So good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night. Good night.
Tune in. Waterman.
Waterman.
Yeah.
I didn't know you had a link. You should, told me jump in there.
Waterman. What is it?
Waterman.org.
Okay.
At Waterman.
We'll put it in. We'll put it in the thread.
Yeah, we can do all that.
Tune into video.
Exactly.
Facebook.
Right, I'm first.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
Oh,
She said,
Oh,
Give me that boy. Don't rap.
I said I'm going to push myself